Just a heads up, it's gonna be a long video towards the end because I'm giving a very thorough explanation about Series 4 and 5. So if you're in the market to buy the Series 4 or Series 5, you want to stay tuned in and here to listen to the whole thing towards the end. What's your fancy? So let's talk about Series 4 Propeller or Series 5 the Jet. Which one should be best for you? Today I'm making a video about Series 4 and Series 5. Which one is better? There is not such a thing, but there is preference. I get an email, usually emails and messages people asking me, Rolando, what should I get? Should I get the Propeller or the Jet propulsion, the Jet 2? And they're both great, but I'm gonna try to explain to you which one might be your best choice. With that said, it's not gonna be a long video because I did already review both items, the Jet 2 and also the Series 4 on different videos. So this is basically now me talking about preferences in a device and which one you should get. You know, as I said, depends on you. They're both great, but that's what I'm going to try to clarify to you. It's not going to be a major video of me writing. It's going to be more about me talking. So what I'm going to do now, first going to go in the water and ride the Jet. I'm starting with the Jet right now first, and just talk about its pros. Then I'm gonna ride the Propeller and talk about its pros, and then I'm gonna finally sit down and talk about cons between both of them, if there is any. Right off the bat, here's the best thing about the Jet: safety. Of course, because we have exposed propeller, it's much more safe. Needless to say, in 5 years I've been riding, I never heard about any problems of people getting themselves hurt propeller. However, you know, safety is right there, number one. One more thing too, super quiet than the Series 4. I mean, you have to be really picky to hear the difference. I don't hear the noise at all. 3, smooth. When you say smooth, it's hard to explain because it feels like the fact that the Jet is so ergonomically hydrodynamic speaking, it's smooth, I think. So for that reason, it feels like it glides better. But I could be wrong because in terms of performance, the same amount of time that you're gonna ride on the Jet will be the same on the Propeller. So the pros about the Jet is if you are into long rides, smooth and calm lake, that type of ride, I think there's nothing better than the Jet. The Jet, as I say, it's so quiet and smooth that it puts in a sensation of a different ride, a calmer ride, if that makes any sense. All right, so let me go get the Propeller now, and then I'm gonna talk about the cons, if there is any, all right? On the Propeller, you can barely tell the difference between in terms of sound. I mean, you gotta be really picky so you can hear the difference between the Jet and the Prop. But the Prop does make a little sound of one. Now, one thing that the Jet that I feel that is the pro about the Jet is torque. For the fact that the blades, of course, the propeller is bigger, you're gonna have instant torque on the whoop, just bridged on the propeller. And also, for some reason, I think that the propeller, for the fact they have so much torque,
turns as well. And in terms of distance and range, it's basically the same. And of course, when you put the propeller on the folding propeller, with the folding propeller, this becomes a surfing machine. Needless to say that you can surf with the jet. You actually can. It's made for that as well. But that is a small advantage on the folding prop for who likes to surf. With that said, let me bring everything down right now. I'm gonna talk about the thing, comparing, and maybe try to explain to you what should be your board. All right? Let me go back to shore right now, and I'll talk to you guys.
For now, I'm gonna sit down and drive and talk about the same thing I went through and give more details about both boards and help you out to make the correct decision. So hang in there just for a little more few minutes, and please, by all means, leave your comments below if you like the video or not. Let me start with that right now. I appreciate you guys for staying this long. As you can tell, the sound of my voice is much better now because I'm using a mic. And actually, if you know, for us today, for Insta365 X5, they don't make a waterproof mic. And if you know anything out there, please let me know, because as you can tell, does not sound that good when I'm riding and the wind and so forth. But anyhow, let me go back right now. Let's finalize everything for those who are interested in buying either the prop or the jet. Let me start with the jet. Again, the quick things, the good points about the Jet 2 Series 5 is for the fact that, first of all, safety. So safety for the fact that there's no exposed propeller. Now, for instance, in Canada, I think it's illegal for you to have a personal watercraft with exposed propeller. I don't know, don't quote me, that's what I hear. And that's why they have the jet. The jet, it's legal over there in some other countries. So the jet is super safe. Needless to say, guys, I've been riding for 5 years. I never had a problem, and I never know anybody who got hurt with exposed propeller. Knock on wood, but just out there, we gotta have to be frank about that. Now, one, safety. It does feels to me that it does gives how can I say, a smooth rider. When I say smooth ride, it means it's for the fact that the shape of it, it's so smooth to make transitions. Needless to say that the prop is not like that. But for some reason, when I say smooth, for the fact it's a jet, I don't know. The transition when you make from turns to turns, it's much better. 2, quieter. Is very, very slightly quieter than the propeller. And also it feels like if you go in a straight line, it glides endlessly. I don't know why. It's just feel, although it's the same configuration, just to let you know, I had the same configuration. I had the A50 on the front and the 245 on the back, conical wings, and it gives the same performance, but it feels like you glide more. In terms of performance, the cons, for the fact that the propeller, the jet impeller is so small, it doesn't have as much torque when you're taking off as the propeller, because the propeller, as you see, is a big blades, propeller, so it has more torque. So that's the only thing that lacks on. But then again, right now they're already updated. They have a thing, boost jet, when you mode that it fixes the band once you start the propeller. So they're constantly, Flyboard is constantly updating the data. That's why it's very important for you to keep your data, your version on your e-foil the latest as possible. So anyhow, that was before when I got it. Now it doesn't feel as much, because now when you press on the power right in the beginning, you have a bigger burst of energy or power, and they're already fixing that band, of course. Anyhow, and also you can surf with it. You can with a jet, you can already go surfing. It's not going to be a problem. We won't be efficient as the folding propeller. We're going to get into that later. But you can also surf. There's a major difference between the jet, the first generation for Series 3, to the Series 5 right now. Let me just stop right now because there's noise. 3 jet and the Series 5 jet. The Series 5 jet, first of all, is not exchangeable. Once you buy the Series 5 jet, is the jet, nothing else. You cannot change for the prop. Now, let me get into the propeller. The propeller, right away, the prop, it feels just like there's more bite. It has more torque. But once you're riding it, it's basically almost the same sensation. But as I said, it's not as smooth for some reason as the jet. It not slightly makes a little bit of noise. Trust me, it's very quiet, but it's slightly louder than the jet. You can barely notice. And the jet, the propeller, it's very torquey, meaning even though when you're making turns, let's say you're carving and doing all those turns, the propeller doesn't lose as much speed as the jet does. And also pairing the propeller with a folding propeller, the thing becomes a surfing machine. So it's a great board, great setup for who wants to surf. If you had to ask me which one is better, it's nearly impossible to say. Remember, they're both on the latest version, which is the conical wing, the conical fuselage. So that's by far, for sure, you want to get the 4 and up. Either if it's the propeller or the jet, you definitely want to keep that up, because now the wings they make is going to be only for the fuselage, the conical fuselage. So that's definitely a plus. So you definitely want to keep that up, because that will be, from now on, you're going to be making wings only for those 2 versions, 4 and 5 and up, until they change it again. So once again, the propeller, it just feels raw power. Needless to say, the jet doesn't have power. It does, but it's just more torquey. So when you're making turns, if you're carving, the propeller has a slight advantage. But in the end run, let's say if you take the battery, or you have the comparison. If you take your board, put it in the water, although the jet is not going to take off as fast as the propeller, in the end, the jet's gonna glide more for some reason, I think. In the end, the battery consumption is gonna be exactly the same. Okay, I did a comparison there before. You can watch my other videos. I think I did Explorer riding at 12 gear, and both gave me 40 minutes or something like that time. Starting at 100 and stop at 15%. They both gave me both at 100% on Explorer, from 100 to 15. Both in the same setup of wings, the jet and the propeller gave me 40 minutes of riding. With that said, which one is better, right? It's impossible to say. It boils down to one thing: your style of riding. Okay? Your style of riding is what was gonna predict what you wanna do. If you only gonna stay on lakes, nice quiet place, smooth water, not much interference in terms of waves and so forth, and nice and quiet, let's say like a beautiful in the mountains lake, that's what you're going to be riding on at all times, and you're going to be just going for long cruises on a straight line, then I'll go for the jet, because there is something about the jet being much quieter, well, a little bit quieter and smoother, that your brain is going to click with that. However, if you are, and you can also surf with the jet. That's a plus about the jet. You can also surf with the jet. Now, if you want something that's going to be carvy, riding left and right super fast, and tons of power, once again, the power band is the same, but carving, because every time that you carve, either or, they're going to lose a little bit of lift, so they're going to lose speed. However, you don't lose as much speed on the propeller. So if your goal is to go really crazy, like I like to do, ride left and right, carving, and go insane, and going for the perfect surfing, then the propeller will be your choice, because you can just change for the folding propeller. Then you're going to have a carving, mean surfing machine. It depends on what you want to do, but you can take both and do the same thing. It's hard to say, guys. I'm very fortunate to have both of them. There are days that I want to just ride the jet, I just want to be quiet, cruising, and ride the jet. And there are days I want to just be stupid and going super fast and ride the the 4, the Propeller. Even though sometimes I take my 2.2, I have a 2 series, I have a 2.2 series, I have 4 and a 5. Sometimes I even take my 2.2 because I love the 800 Flyer wings, which gives a lot of bite on the water, and I love that wing. However, that wing cannot go to the Series 4. So sometimes I even go down to Series 2.0 just because of the wing. So whatever you're getting, guys, just make sure that you're getting the 4 and 5 because it'll be the latest wings. And whatever you get, rest assured that you're getting a great product. And as I mentioned before, they're constantly updating the data on the power band for either the 4 and the 5. So just make sure that your E4 is always up to date with the latest software. Alright guys, I hope you help you out. So if you want to go crazy, a lot of carving, moving left and right, and surfing, go for the prop. If you want a really chill, smooth ride, not making curves, a long straight line, and somewhat quiet, and even surfing, go for the jet. But either or can do both works. So I'm sorry for confusing you. Stay tuned because finally they're coming out with the Flux wings. The Flux wings are a series that are coming out right now, the 7.7, the 7.0, and the 10.0, I think. These wings are here that they are amazing, and they actually, there's a little more grab, almost like the 800 Flyer. That's the wing that I love, and I can't wait to get my hands on one of those and put to try out. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry for taking too long, but I hope it's going to be helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know, and please send the comments and ask me questions so I can keep on going with this page. Be good to each other, guys, and have a good day, and be safe in the water.